Growth. I am one of the co-hosts for this. Me and my brother both, we share this podcast together. But I am so excited to have you on tonight for our audience.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful to
Yes.
be here.
Yes. Look, you have such a powerful story. I was intrigued with your story for one because my husband is going the route of I meant my son rather is going the route of, trying to pursue his career in the medical field. But as you just dig deeper and just look at your story, just with everything you've had to overcome, it is truly, truly a testimony that is worth being shared. So, Lord, we just pray that this weather lets us get through this podcast because I know so many people will benefit from hearing your story. You experience like unimaginable loss, like from an early age, losing both of your parents. um what helped you, just overcome that, and keep from just falling apart and feeling like even your life would just end? What helped you keep going?
Thank you so much for having me today. And
Yes.
that's a wonderful question. It's a question I get all the time from people. Um, what was it? And that's actually it's the heart behind the book I wrote, Adapt and Advance, just to share my story and to let people know what worked for me over the time and how I was able to cope with the unimaginable suffering that I went through. Losing both parents, my life was like torn apart completely at the age of
Yes.
13. It was really rough, really tough, but I'm grateful that I was able to discover a few things that seem to have worked, which is what I tried my best to summarize and divide into various sections in my book, Adapt and Advance. But I would say the very first thing that was most helpful was meaning making and understanding that this has not come to stop me.
Amen.
Rather, this as interpreting the pain as something that has come to help me to move forward and to, in the bigger picture of things, to eventually succeed and be what God wants me to be.
Yes.
So, very early in life, I was able to focus on the big picture. It was tough, it was hard, it was almost impossible to see a big picture at that time,
Yes. Yes.
but I'm grateful for some of the resources that helped me was like reading a few books of people who succeeded, people who went through unimaginable similar sufferings, and they were able to make it in life despite that, focusing on the big picture, believing there's a bigger picture beyond what I'm going
Right.
through right now.
Right. I love that because it is a big picture, and it's just crazy that you would say that because we shared that with our son last night. Sometimes people want to look at the present situation, the now, and that's how
Hmm.
they want to make their decisions, but you have to look at the big picture and you have to make decisions now that's gonna affect, those future goals. So that is amazing. you know Many people just they live in survival mode, emotionally, financially, spiritually. But what was the moment that shifted you from survival mode and gave you that understanding that there is purpose? I have purpose here, so I can't stay in this survival mode.
So I would say at about the age of 20, like 7 years after I lost my dad,
Mhm.
um, I discovered purpose in a unique way at that point. Um, I always say that was the time when, I started reading a lot. In
Mhm.
my book, I share that at that point I started reading like one book every week. I still do, but most times now I don't like read the physical book. I listen when I'm driving to work and I'm driving back. And I think I remember reading Rick Warren's book on purpose and
Mhm.
understanding your purpose. I remember reading Miles Monroe's book. I think
Love
he wrote
Miles Monroe. Yes.
yeah, he wrote three different series on purpose too, like understanding your purpose and
Yes.
stuff like that back then.
Yes.
So those books at that time were the things that helped me to feel much more grounded in my purpose.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
had my mission statement for the first time since that time, believing that at a point in my life, I'm going to get through whatever I was going through at
Yes.
that time. And I'm going to begin to share my story to help other people. And I also know Joyce Meyer too. I've been watching her for a long time. And her story also inspires me. She shared of how she went through unimaginable hardships growing up,
Yeah.
sexual abuse by her father, and today, she's in her 80s about, and she's able to use that story for years and years to be a
Right.
blessing to people. So when I read stories like that, when I read books like that, it shows me that there's hope no matter what I'm going through.
Yes.
I might
Yes.
not I might not be as big or great as they are because our purpose is unique and different. But
Mhm.
within my own uniqueness, I believe I can be the best version of myself.
Yes. I love that because even in the gutter, the low
Mhm.
point in life, if we can just grab a hold of that little piece that you said, that there's hope and there's purpose. If we're living, there's still, that means there's something else for us to do. So we
Yes,
have to
yes.
grab a hold of that. I love that. Love it. You wear multiple hats. Like, you're a doctor, a scientist, a man of, deep faith. But how has God shaped each one of those things for you to find your identity in those things? Because people think there should be separated, but how has God shaped those things for you?
Yeah, so for me, it's been a long journey, and
Mm,
one thing led to the other, and to the other, and to the other.
mm,
And firstly, like I said, when I was in medical school back in Nigeria years ago, one of the first things of course, I wanted to be a doctor because the loss of both parents was related to medical issues. So that was
okay.
one of my purpose, or one of the things that spurred me up very early, that I wanted to be a doctor to help people, to make sure that at least as many as God will have me the opportunity to prevent
Right.
uh, the complication. Like my mom died from pregnancy complication and
Mm,
stuff like that. My dad from a road traffic accident.
yes.
So I wanted a situation whereby I could be a doctor, I could be a physician, to I can
Mm,
help other people.
mm,
When I started practicing, I realized that I started getting drawn towards psychiatry, uh,
okay.
because in church I was getting close to becoming like a pastor, and I felt in medicine the closest to a pastor is being a psychiatrist, because we tend to listen to people's problem a
Yeah.
lot, and
Yes.
almost always all our disorders are related to one stressor or the other. Of course, there are other biologic mechanisms
Mhm.
behind the disorders, but like one third of the times we can identify one life stressor that
Yes.
makes people like have depression, that makes people like have schizophrenia. They might be biologically predisposed, but usually something will happen that would lead, like in schizophrenia, we have the two hit hypothesis, whereby
Yes.
although the person is biologically predisposed before, but something still happens to bring it out.
Right.
Uh, so all of that made me want to do psychiatry, because I have the heart of caring for people, and I
Yes.
really felt psychiatry would give me the biggest opportunity to care for people, to listen to
Yes.
people's problem. On my job every day, in addition to using medications, we use psychotherapy. We talk to
Mhm.
people, we listen to people's problem, and we offer coping skills in addition
Love
to
that.
medications that we give. So everything ties together.
Yes.
Uh, to bring out the best, I believe, of God in my life. And then one thing led to the other, to the other, to the other, but everything is tying up together as a
Yes.
whole.
Look, I mean, just I. I'm smiling like I just, know your have known your story for a long time, because when you read just, just up on your story, it just makes you just understand that there's always hope, and you can always get to the level, obtain that level of purpose. Like whatever God has called you to, no matter the struggle, you can obtain to that. You can reach that. So that's why my smile is so big. Like so,
Yeah.
you talk about going through pain, and I'm sure you encounter that from people day to day. Can you share a moment where your journey in pain actually push you toward purpose instead of keeping you emotionally stuck?
I would say one big moment in my life that has been was really defining was when I first, like, I was in medical school at that time, and I had the opportunity to, for example, serve as the prayer secretary of Christian medical and dental students.
Mm,
At that period, things were rough at that time, like financially, life was difficult. Even coping, being able to pay tuition and everything was hard, and things
mm,
were rough. But in the midst of all the roughness, I realized I had a gift
yes.
in me at that time, and God opened the eyes of some other people around to see that gift. And I was given the opportunity, for example, to lead like the fellowship in
Mhm.
prayers and things like that.
Yes.
I believe that was a very defining moment for me, despite everything I was going through. Just like in one of the beginning chapters of my book, I talked about Viktor Frankl, who says one of the ways to make meaning out of pain
Oh,
uh, is
wow.
for you to be able to contribute towards other people.
Yes. I
Despite
love
the pain
that.
you are going through, despite what you're going through, like Viktor Frankl, he was somebody, I don't know if you read about his story, he was someone
Yes.
who went into
Yes.
the concentration camp, and he wrote the book titled Man's Search for Meaning. So he
Yes.
said one thing he noticed, he was one of the few survivors of the concentration camp. He was a Jew. One of the things he
Mhm.
noticed, like those who were more likely to be successful and get out of the camp successfully were people who went beyond their own pain to serve other people. They
Yes.
tend to care for other people. They care to ask how other people are doing and stuff like that. And that was one of the things that helped him even also be out of the concentration camp.
Mm.
The same way at that time in my life, it was like, despite every pain I was feeling, I was able to serve as the prayer secretary in my local church. I was able to lead a home self fellowship of like 20
Mhm.
people where we meet every Sunday evening. So all of that, despite my home pain, I was able to put it aside
Wow.
and be able to use my story. Even since then, I've been using my own story to encourage people that I'm grateful for where I am. I'm not yet where I want
Right.
to be. Even now, I'm not yet there, but
Right.
I'm grateful that I'm moving in the right direction.
You have the point you made about serving people in pain. That is so huge, because to some people, hearing that seems foreign. But God has called us to serve. He didn't say serve when everything is great and when you feel like it.
Hmm.
But I feel like the most rewarding time to serve is when you don't feel like it, when you are in pain, when you are going through your own, difficult moments, and it is so refreshing.
Hmm.
So if you're listening, I hope you got that little piece of serving in pain, through that pain. Like, you don't just shut yourself up and hide. No, you serve through that, and God will honor you for doing that. I love that. Um so your story really does offer so much hope, just showing people that you can walk through. That's the thing. You have to walk through loss. You have to walk through disappointments and loneliness. And for you in your situation, what seemed like it was limitations with you trying to navigate through your career with having limited resources and support. Um, what would you say to the person who feels like they're at that moment right now and they feel like, because of that, that disqualifies them from being great? What would you say to them about just continuing to move forward?
And that's why I would, say I would just summarize briefly the map lamp principle that I shared in my book. Number one is the first one is meaning making. So I would tell the person that no matter where you are today, don't stay stuck.
Yeah.
Understand, look beyond the present pain and see that there's a bigger picture beyond you. Again, everybody's big picture is different. So when we say big picture, it doesn't mean you have to be like maybe a billionaire or whatever. It's okay if you are called to do that. Your own big picture is unique to you. So
Yes.
you've got to understand that no matter what the pain is, no matter how stuck I am, there's a bigger picture in this that I'm going through that is meant to serve other people. And the other one is A, the second section of my book is action, which means
Yes.
you've got to take action no matter what it is. Don't
Mhm.
stay stuck. There's something you can always do. I hear people say, I've done everything I know to do. I believe there's always something more. There's always something else that can be
Yes.
done to get you after the correct situation. It might just be a baby step at times.
Yes.
It might not look like it's moving big or huge towards something. So I would say, don't get stuck. No matter how little it is, make sure you are taking action. And then that brings us to planning, which is P. Uh,
Mhm.
Take time to have a plan. And I'm going to talk about the mission statement when we get to the next M. So take time to have a plan that is related to your mission statement. And you can always, like where I am right now, I've seen it like more than 20 years ago. Find all the plans I've written. Of course, I keep changing and editing as necessary,
Right.
but the big picture or the main frame is still the same. I knew I was going to like finish my medical school. I was going to have my master's, my PhD, and I was going to come to the US at the point, have my
Right.
psychiatry residency. A few tweaks here and there, but the big picture, I've been there even since when I was going through a lot of pain. So I have a plan of getting from where I am right now, no matter how negative, no matter how difficult, I have a plan that can move me from where I am now to that desired goal. And of course, you can change it, you can edit it.
Right.
The more you
Right.
understand things, but at least let it not be that you don't have any plan or that you
Right.
have given up hope completely. And then that brings us to L, which is learning. Like I say, I always recommend one book every month to everyone. I know one book a week might be too much for some people, but I
Yeah.
recommend one book every month. If you are going through something that you think is very difficult,
Mhm.
find somebody else who has gone through something similar.
Right.
Maybe not
Yeah.
exactly the same. And read, if they have books, read books and see how
Yeah.
they go through it. Like I've read so many of Joyce Meyer's book. I told you, she's been through a lot. I listen to her messages regularly. But
Yes.
whenever I listen to that story, offers me hope
Right.
way back like years and years ago. It offers me hope. I know that no matter what you go through, you
Right.
could get through it. So learning, I would say, don't get stuck. Put action into it. Go into learning, and then the fifth one is alliance formation, which talks about having relationships. There is always somebody that can help you, so you don't have to do life
Yes.
alone. You just need to open your eyes to see it. Somebody's going to be for you, somebody's going to help you, somebody's going to be
Yes.
your destiny helper. At times we need to pray for our God to open our eyes. And then the next M is mission statement.
Mm.
I believe all of us should have a mission statement, even if something simple, whatever it is, to be a good father or to be a good or to succeed as whatever it is. Have a simple mission statement. The last one is prayers, commit things to God,
Yes.
uh, stand upon his word. And I believe all of all of putting all of this together would definitely move you forward.
Right. And that takes discipline. Sometimes people may be listening to all of these things and they're like, oh my gosh, how do you do? But it takes discipline when you want to reach a goal and you have big dreams and your visions are big and you're just trying to live out the purpose that God has, placed upon you. That takes discipline so you can stay
Yeah.
focused
Yeah.
and accomplish those things. So
Mm-hmm.
this is off script, but you mentioned Miles Monroe, and I love Miles Monroe. I tell my husband all the time that I just feel like, even though he's passed away, he still lives on. So if you could just share what was one of your favorite things that, you've heard him say, or that, that just helped you along the way. Was there a particular line or statement that, you carried along with you?
Yeah, it's been a while, but I think one thing I remember clearly from Miles Monroe's book is the concept of the graveyard. He talks about it all the time.
Yes.
He said, the richest place on earth is not the gold mine. The richest place on earth is not maybe the oil fields, wherever, but the richest place on earth is the graveyard
Mhm.
because people die and they take back to the grave
Yes.
everything that they are meant to do. So he
Wow.
always says that all the time. So he said we should live so that when we die empty.
Empty.
We have
Yes.
given.
Every time I hear that, it just is so amazing.
Yes, yes. He said we have given everything possible that God has placed inside of us. And
Yes.
that's why I always say everybody's purpose is different, everybody's purpose is unique. And of course, it's not even good to compare ourselves with each other. We can learn from each other, but still understand that I'm unique, I'm different, I'm
Yes.
made for this purpose, and be the best version of yourself. There's something about
Yes.
you that is better than where you are right now. And
Mhm.
so long you are still living, there's still something in you that God wants you to do. It's when you
Yes.
die that at least on this side of eternity, everything is over. But so
Yeah.
long you are still alive. So after understanding, so every morning when you wake up, always ask yourself, if today were to be my last day, am I going to
Yes.
do things differently? I think
Yes.
I learned that from Steve, is it the Apple man Jobs. You
Yeah.
know, he
Steve
always
Jobs.
that
Yeah.
yes, he always asks that question every morning that if today to
Yeah.
my last day, will I do things differently?
Mhm.
Meaning putting your best into every single day, like today is your last day, such that
Yes.
you have lived the best life and you have given to this world the best that you can give based on where you are right now. And that has
Yes.
nothing to do with the problems you are going through. That has
Right.
nothing to do, I know, and that brings us to the concept of values versus
Mhm.
goals. I
Mhm.
could have a goal to be a doctor, for example. I might never achieve it. That's a goal. But
Yes.
I could have the value, for example, is maybe to be a compassionate person or
Mhm.
to be a friendly person. That's
Yes.
value.
Yes.
So even if I never achieve my goal, I can achieve my value every single day
Yes. I love
in the
that.
process of where I'm going. So we need to have values that are important to us, important to our where God
Mhm.
is taking us, and then we use those values every day. So the idea of being great, of fulfilling God's purpose, is unique to you, and what
Yes.
it's enjoying the journey. Although the
Yes.
destination too is important, but the values help you to enjoy the journey. The destination is kind of like the big thing that you look forward to, which of course can change from time to time.
Yes, yes. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that. So, when
Thank you.
someone
You're welcome.
finishes your book, when somebody reads your book and they finish your book, what is one message you pray stays with them, sticks with them, long after they've closed the final page?
Okay. So I would say the title of the book is Adapt and Advance.
Mhm.
Um, my big thing is to adapt and advance, like I said, is to interpret pain as preparation, not punishment. So I want
Mm,
everybody that read my book to understand that no matter what you are going through, you can adapt and advance through it.
Mhm.
So, and the pain that we go through is not to stop us. We should be able to interpret that pain as preparation for something big that God wants
Wow.
us to do
Yes.
with our lives and not as punishment.
Wow.
When we interpret pain as punishment, we tend to give up. We tend to give in. We tend to not want to go. We lack the will to continue. But we interpret the pain as preparation. See Joseph, for example, in the Bible, is one favorite person, one of my favorite people in the Bible, apart from Jesus Christ, because he went through so
Yes.
much. At the age of
Yes, he
17,
did.
his biologic brothers sold him
Yes.
into slavery.
Yes.
He was the slave in Potiphar's house. He had this lied upon. He ended up in prison. But eventually, his story turned out well. And
Yes.
in Genesis 50:20, when his brothers came to him, they were afraid he's going
Yes.
to, like, take vengeance on them. He said, that though you meant it for evil, God meant it for good,
Yes.
for me to be a blessing to.
Yeah.
Eventually, it was a blessing to a lot of people.
Yes.
So I want people to finish reading my book with the understanding that they can adapt and advance through any situation. Does that mean problems will stop? Maybe not. Even apart from the loss of my parents, even now there are newer challenges every day. So there will always be
Right.
challenges. Even rich people have challenges, poor people have challenges. No matter what you have, there will always be challenges.
Yes, and that is so true. Okay, look, this has been so rich in this short amount of time. Like, I am so thankful that we were able to have this conversation. So, I would like you to share with the audience, how can they find your book? How can they find you on social media platforms? Put that out there for the people.
And it's very simple. I have a copy of my book right here, which I'll just show. It's on Amazon, and the title is Adapt and Advance. If you type Adapt and Advance on Amazon, I'm sure it's going to pull it up.
Yes.
And if you want to go further, you can put my name, Oluwole Babatunde, which so we Adapt and Advance, you pull it up, and then you see the ebook currently is just $1. $1 we
Oh,
are doing the
awesome.
promo throughout the month of July, and then the paper book is $12. So it's
Awesome.
adapt, and advance. Just type it into Amazon; it's going to pull it up for you. YouTube, my name is Oluwole.babatunde 1870 1870. Again, I have a lot of videos that I post, at least one or two videos every week. So I'll be glad to have you as a subscriber, and to I share all this content, all of this I say every
Yes.
single week. Yeah.
Yes. Look, you heard it. Adapt and advance. Not stop, but advance. Keep going. Well, that is it for from the gutter to growth. And I just hope that everybody enjoys this, and go and follow and subscribe and order a copy of that book. All right. Until next time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate.
All right.